verse 30, but I am going to read from verse 26. See, Jesus spake unto his eye, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the water, was doing. And it was quite admirable to him. And so he wanted to have the experience. And as he made the request, Yeshua said, okay, come. And Peter was doing, he was walking on the water. And it was going to bring the word. And I examined verse 29. That was blowing scripture. Peter started walking a default response that many of us that we fear that we might not be able to follow it through to the end. We fear anything that is new because, again, sometimes we do not know the full detail. So even though Peter was walking on the water, got him distracted. And now, his focus, his eyes, his faith, it dwindled somewhat. And so he took. And again, we can resonate with this that many times, God would cause us to do the impossible. He would put us into spaces and places that on our own we're not qualified for it, we're not deserving for it. But because he is in the midst and because our focus was on him, he showed us that there is nothing that is impossible with him. Neither is it too hard for him to do. And this was the case of Peter. He was doing something that on his own, it was not him. but it was Yeshua that was enabling him to do what he, Yeshua, was doing. But again, how many times we allow the voice of someone around us, and that can be an analogy of the boisterous wind. We're going on fine. We're doing well. And then someone says something to us. And so we start the statement, ruminating on that statement. And soon after, doubt begins. And the very thing that we were doing, we find ourselves now being overcome by it because the doubt is present. How many times, God would really open some doors, again, that seems impossible, where it was not by the hands of man that that door was open. Uncommon favor that we know it could only be God. And as we are in those positions, and someone who would know the backstory of us, that no way on your own you could have done this. And so sometimes they may bring up the past. Sometimes they may begin to invalidate what you're doing. Sometimes they may berate us. Sometimes, they may even try to throw shade at us. And instead of us keeping our eyes fixed on God, instead of us keeping our faith grounded in God, what we do now is begin to give too much attention to the voices around us. And as we give that attention, we lose focus. We start to focus on self. We start to think too hard. We start to doubt, the journey. We start to doubt what we know God has called us to do. And so now we begin to sink. But I'm so thankful that Yeshua is so merciful that as Peter cried out to him and said, "Lord, save me," the scripture said in verse 31, immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand, caught him, and said unto him, "O thou of little faith, wherefore did thou doubt?" Wherefore did thou doubt? So before he was full of faith, he was doing the very thing. But again, the wind got him distracted. The wind caused his focus to be shifted. God has called many of us to do things in ministry where it was not by man's qualification, but it was by his divine appointment and anointment. And so someone said, no way. And sometimes it's the support we seek we do not get. And we begin to question ourselves. Did God really say? Did I hear right? But again, O he of little faith, do not doubt, because the moment doubt will come in, that is the time that the sinking will start to happen. And while fear is a default response, it doesn't always mean that the absence of fear is defeat. Sometimes we can gather ourselves and do what we're supposed